The most important thing to keep in mind when you're pulling canne and murini is that the central gather has to be an equal temperature all the way through. This is most easily achieved by working directly out of the furnace, taking a minimum number of reheats, and being conservative with the amount that you work the glass. To get nice even canne pulls, every attempt should be made to keep the mother heat in the gather by not staying on the marver too long or working at the bench too long and freezing up the core of the gather. As you can see in the video, there clearly is heat at the center, whereas there is a skin on the outside. You can see it when it's going across the marver table. What's going to end up happening is the next gather is going to heat up the interior gather. So going in at the right temperature is really important. If you go in too hot, you're going to collapse inside the pool. If you go in too cold, you're going to land up with a lump of something in the middle of something that's very hot, kind of like a snake swallowing a rat. So care should be taken to make sure that you don't overwork it, freeze it up. This will lead to better and better pulls. So the first gather's been finished. Now I go in for the second gather. I'll be back at the marver table in just a second. I'll air marver, then I'll start on the back end of the gather. I'll make the gather concentric with the pipe by working the back end a little bit, and then I'll work on the front end of it to give it the right shape. I've already got approximately the right amount on the stick.
Shut up. Shut up. Never counted. I guess if you had a big enough furnace and a large enough team, there's no end.
So the entire gather's moving. The core is still hot, and it's getting a nice cool skin on it. It's got a nice shape and it's got a nice size that'll make just about the right amount of canne. A gather this size makes about 4 feet of murini. That's a half an inch to 5/8 of an inch square when it's pulled out, if it pulls out evenly. Again, not overworking it. There's still plenty of heat in the piece. It's not solid. It's still moving around. And it's going to always be moving around. It's going to be gathered on while it's already hot. So this is almost ready to go right now. I'll take it over to the color furnace, I'll make a dunk into it. I'll gather up the jacket, transparent green maybe, come back out, marver it up a couple of times, and immediately go back to the glory hole for the first reheat. I think there's a total of 3 reheats in this piece, but none of them are particularly substantial. Most of the heat is coming from the furnace. It's been maintained throughout.
Okay.
demo.
So that's about it right there. It's nice and even. It's got a good heat on it already. I'll give it a couple of seconds in the glory hole and I'll be back to square it up.
모의 demo.
Using the squisher and turning it a quarter of a turn each time, I can get skin on the outside and get it squared up. It's about 8 inches long, give or take, and about 2 inches square at this point. I flatten the bottom a little bit just to give a little definition to that part of the piece. Then it's back to the glory hole for the second reheat. I'll be back shortly to the marver. Define the shape a little bit. I'll pull a nipple on the bottom and then grab the diamond shears to form a neck that I'll grab when I pull it.
모의 demo.
Alright, so square it up. Grab nipple off the end. Get your diamond shears.
So there's the neck coming out now.
Get a neck in there.
You don't want to make it too small, a half inch is sufficient.
Fairly decent dimension.
Give it a dunk. Go back in for the last reheat.
Smaller than a half an inch. Asking for trouble.
Won't be in there for very long. Come back out.
Soften it up a little
Quench
bit.
the neck one more time. Hang it up. Grab the torch and grab the diamond shears.
Alright. And there you go.
Now you
Hang
can
it
see
up.
that it's got a lot of heat in it, but it's not actually moving all that much, which is a good sign.
Alright.
It'll be easy enough to pull because it's very plastic right now, but it's not so fluid that it's going to run all over the floor.
That's pretty good heat.
A little bit of light torch work on the bottom where it's a little bit thicker usually leads to a nice pull. Ideally, you want to minimize the use of the torch, but it's a very, very helpful thing to have. You can certainly make everything without it, but
There you go. That's a pretty good pull.
your yield tends to decrease, your seconds tend to increase, obviously. It's just not as satisfying. So the pull's done, torch is away, diamond shears are away. Grab a file and a glove, snap the stick, put it in the annealer, and you're done.
모의 demo.
This tutorial brought to you by worldwideweb.hobbyglass.biz, your online source for color, cane, and Murini in 96 COE.
Alright. There's that.